This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, everybody, welcome. Countdown to Guidewire Policy Center. We have 2 more days. So I haven't been sending out some webinars. I wanted you to get some practice, but I'm going to go ahead and send one today and tomorrow also. And we go live on Saturday. So I will send some steps out to you as far as what you need to do to get started. And some tips, but also let you know that I am available. So if you do have questions as you're getting started going into it, reach out. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. Remember, to begin, you want to log into the dashboard. If you have not already saved it, then go ahead and log into Guidewire. This is the link. So you can type that in there, https://pctraining.farmersInsurance.com/pc/policycenter.do. But yeah, in the email, you should have the link. I'll have the hyperlink set up for you. Today, what we're going to do, we're just going to quote a household. We're just going to jump on in and put together an auto and a home and get that bound, and then we'll roll into the umbrella. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Let me just move this over. All right. So again, this is your Guidewire Policy Center. Again, you may have some items up here, not a big deal. Remember, this is a sandbox to get started. I mean, if you do get lost, just click on desktop. It's going to reroute you back to this home page, home screen. You can look at some recent submissions. Just go to My Submissions. Click on this drop down. You can look at what happened in the past 30 days. All right. So you can look at your queues. We're going to talk more about this, where you can see what's going on in your agency. Right? And so those of you that have producers, you can actually track who's writing what, and you can go in and you can service the accounts. So, all right, and there's a couple more items that we're going to be getting into as time goes on. But for now, let's just start with a new account. All right, so we start with here. Right next to this account is this little arrow. Just click on that. Brings down the drop down. Just click on New Account. Okay, let's just make up a name. I'll go with Joe Client. Keep it real simple. That's all you need. You can click search. All right. If you have a lot of client last names, then you might want to get a little more insight. But typically with this, or when you get started, just type in the name, search it, doesn't pop up. Go ahead and click create new account at the bottom here. All right. So now we're going to put some more information. If they have a middle name or middle initial, you can put that in there. You can put suffix over here. Date of birth, we'll just pluck a number out of a tree, 0512-1972. All right. We'll go with a phone number, 925-555-6352. Keep it simple. Email, hopefully you get their email from your client. We're going to go with joe@email.com. All right. Put that M in there. Go ahead and pick an address. I'm going to just random 654. Let's go with Davis Street. Don't use actual information in the sandbox. Just make stuff up. All right. Concord. In this case, we don't need to know county, just so you know. State, we're in California. Zip code, Concord. I'm going to go ahead and put actual information here for the city and stuff, but it's a made-up street number. You can use the city and the zip code if you know it. Address description, you can put, it's a house, a townhouse, condo, whatever it may be. All right. As far as ID, we'll put no ID. All right. And so what we're going to do, once that's in, then we're going to go ahead and update. This is where we should have the address standardization to see if it's in the system, right? Edit address if need be. Actually, the address is correct. If we don't need, if we need to make a change, we can. But we'll go with override. So now that we've set up this account, all right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start a whole new policy. I'm going to start with the auto, even though it's highlighted here. There's nothing here, but I'm going to start new submission in the middle here. Okay, and then we're going to go to personal auto. All right, you ask them the disclosure, right? Okay, we're going to gather some information from third parties to put this proposal together. We will not pass your information to anybody else. Do I have your permission to continue? Great. Click yes. Then we move on up to next. Okay. Again, there's a little more information we now got to fill in. Right? They're the primary named insured. Right? Phone type, we'll just say it's their cell phone. Most common now. A lot of people don't even have landlines anymore. It is a private dwelling that they own. Drivers on the policy want to participate Signal, yes or no. We will have some upcoming training on Signal, also on flow by mowing, and also on the ADT, right? The alarm system, as far as what discounts they get when they purchase it and what discounts are applied in their policy. So, all right. Secondary named insured right now, I didn't think I put married, so we're just going to leave it where it's at. Okay, we don't have anybody here. The 6-month auto policy, there's the effective date. Okay, as you can see over here, it actually puts that they do have a motorhome trailer. So the Sandbox is kind of throwing a couple curves at us, just kind of putting in, hey, there's a life policy, so that means the discounts will apply. They are validated. Right? And so this is just showing you that when you do start with Apex typically, or when you start a quote, it tracks the household, it will pull the other policies in that household, all right, which is good. So then the discounts would apply. We're going to go ahead and mail the ID card if they want, or we can keep it paperless. So if you do want to add it where they want to mail it, you can click that right there. I'm just going to keep it where it's at. You go ahead and click next. It's going to move to the next section, the auto pre-fill, right? Here's our driver. All right, so they're single, right? Separated. Age, licensed in U.S. or Canada. This is where you do want to ask them, what age were you when you first got licensed? It says you got licensed at age 47. They say otherwise, right? Put it in, right? We'll put age 16. Right? We can actually view Joe, get a little more insight. Right? So his date of birth pulled in, he's single, his phone number, social security number, although we don't need any ID. Right? And his license number that it just plucked. Driver detail, we can go over here. We can put in if they took a safety course, any occupational discounts we can plug in here. I'm not going to do this right now because it requires a contingency. It's a little bit of an error message to load up. But yeah, when the system goes live, you should be able to put it in. You should still be able to bind it and then get the proof of the affinity loaded up afterwards. But in the Sandbox, we seem to have a couple issues here where they want you to load it up before we go to bind. So I'm going to leave that where that's at. All right. If they have a different address, maybe they have a P.O. box, we can add the P.O. box. Okay. So you want to add another address and put some information about it. But in this particular case, we'll leave it where it's at. I'm just going to click OK over here. All right, now we're going to go to the vehicle. So I'm going to click on the details. So I want to do view details of the driver in case I need to make any changes there. And then I'm going to click view to add any details to the vehicle. Like over here, primary driver, it's going to be our Joe client here. It is owned. It might be leased. It might be financed. All right. So if it is leased, it's great. You might need some additional information. If it's financed, you definitely need the lien holder's information. We're going to go ahead and put owned right now. If you don't have the lien holder's information at the time that you're putting this together, you can go ahead and put owned. And then when you get the information, you can go back into the policy after it's been bound, and you can make that adjustment later on. Okay. Gross vehicle weight, sometimes it'll ask you what is the gross vehicle weight. Most of them are about 6 or less, or between 7 and maybe 10 max. Typically anything over 10,000 pounds, we're going to move it over to commercial auto. Purchase date, well, this is a 2010 Jeep, so we'll pluck a random date here. We'll say he got it in June. Let's go with the 12th of 2011, okay? All right. Annual miles, it typically pulls in. If you're not sure, just ask them. You know, the average driver in California drives about 12,000 miles a year. Would you say you're about average? Most people just say yes. Great. Put 12,000 in, move on. As far as odometer reading, we got to click the add. The first box right here is the date. Yeah, hopefully we looked at it today. I'm going to put the 17th. Then we're going to put how many miles on the odometer. So 12,000 miles for 11 years. Let's go with 145. They did a lot of joyriding here, so I staggered the numbers there. I say stagger the numbers. Odometer, you probably don't want 000. 14, 145,000 miles. Probably don't want, it really, to me, and probably underwriting, if there's a hiccup, it doesn't look like you really looked at the odometer. You just guessed. So just to give you some insight there. Additional interest, if you do need to add the lien holder, this is where you'd add it. Okay. Anyone else associated with the vehicle, any additional insureds also could be listed here. All right. Click OK. So everything's in here. What I'm going to do is go ahead and click Next. All right, now we're going into the coverages, the bodily injury here. I want to throw in an umbrella, so I'm going to bump this up to 500, 500, 500. Okay. Yeah, beef up the coverages here. Remember, in sales is like skiing. It's easy to ski downhill, so you want to start with some higher coverage, probably the higher premium, and we can shave it off to kind of meet the budget. But you can't start with a low premium program and try and make the premium more expensive by adding things on. So with the uninsured motorist coverage, right, we'll go with the 100, 300, have them sign off. Don't forget the medical button right here. All right. You want to add some medical, 5,000. Believe it or not, remember, medical covers you and your passengers that are injured in and around the vehicle. So in a collision claim, liability covers the other people in the other car and the other car or whatever you hit. And then medical covers you and your passengers in your car. All right. It also covers you and your family members as a pedestrian. Say they got struck by a hit and run vehicle. The medical pays first, and then the uninsured motorist can kick in. All right. Permissive user, you want to keep it at full. If you're going to use, 500, 500 when you're driving the car, if you lend the car to your neighbor, I'm sure you probably want them to have the $500,000 of coverage also. Okay. You can add accidental death here. I'm going to go down. The deductibles are fine. Okay. We got towing in here. I'm going to go with the collision plus loss of use. I'm going to go with the K5, which is already going to preset here. Scroll a little farther down. All right, there's the rideshare endorsement if you want to add it. Since I have collision coverage, then I'm going to go with the uninsured motorist property damage with the collision deductible waiver. So what's going to happen here with this C2 coverage is if they get hit by someone without insurance, right, this is going to waive their $1,000 collision deductible, and farmers will actually fix their car or replace it, repair it, whatever, with no deductible. Okay, so it's kind of a no-fault collision claim because someone without insurance hit them, damaged the vehicle. If you do not have collision coverage on the vehicle, then you're going to go with the C1 coverage instead. And this will pay a maximum of $3,500 to fix your car because someone without insurance hit it. All right. So if you have collision, it's C2. If you don't have collision, you get the C1. All right. It's something you want to recommend. If they did modify the vehicle, we can bump up the additional equipment here. In our particular case, we're going to say everything's good. You can go to the additional coverages, and this is that drive other car coverage. Okay. I don't see it here, but we're probably going to have the OEM coverage on the additional coverages page. I just don't see it here at this point in time, so I'm under the impression it will pop up here. So you have original equipment manufacturer parts. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click Next. It's going to take us to the contingency screen. So in some cases, if you put certain discounts or made some changes or what have you, we might go to the contingency screen, and then we can add something. So you can label it, add it, upload it, click and drag it to the thing. But remember, label it first. Okay, if there is a contingency, you got to choose which one it is. Go ahead and put the information in if it doesn't pre-fill, and then upload the document. And sometimes you will have to send it to underwriting for approval before we can move forward to bind this coverage. Okay. Prior losses will pop up here. I'm not sure if it's going to have a different color change here when we do get there. The MVR will pop up and go from there. So, and we're pulling some information from third parties, so we might see some vehicle history items here once in a while. If they know they had a prior loss, they can add it here. All right. So, but at this point in time, we're going to go ahead and move to the next screen and click quote. All right, let it roll. This is taking a little bit of time here. And there we go. All right. So it went fine. Everything's in. You can scroll down here and take a look at the coverages and the premium. Remember, these are made up premiums right now because we're in the sandbox, so it's just random. All right. So it says go ahead and click on validation. So we'll go ahead and validate. It's going to confirm it. Yes, we want to run the background check, see if there's any prior losses. Okay, so now it says, hey, great, we'll go to billing. Okay, billing must be set up. And so we're going to go to billing. Now, here and there, you might say unavailable to bind because there's no good drivers in the household. If you do get that error message in the sandbox, go back over to the beginning and add another driver. What I'm seeing is you're playing around in the sandbox, and if you're doing one driver by themselves, sometimes you'll get that their driving record is not stellar, and so you cannot buy a policy with Farmers. So just go back, go to the drivers, add another driver. Okay, maybe they're a roommate or other. You can put them single, or you can turn Joe Client into married and add Joe Client. Okay, but make sure you go back to Joe Client, change it to married, then you add Joe Client, list her as spouse, right, and also married, so it matches up. Okay, but right now we're good to go. I'm going to click on the billing setup and payment down here. Let's set up the billing. Okay, so this is going to be a new billing account. Click go. I'm going to go ahead and click next up here and add in the bank holder's name. This is Joe Client. 121000358. Account number 123456789. 123456789. You have to say it again. Account type, this is checking. If they do want to change the billing due date, like maybe they want it on the 20th of the month, that's great. We can change it then. Okay. Right now, we'll just keep it on the 17th for today's purposes. We'll click next. All right. Everything's already filtered in. So then we say payment made by, it's going to be Joe Client. Payment method is going to be the Bank of America account that we just put in. You can choose one of these other ones. It's not a problem. You'll have to put in the additional information, but I'm just going to choose the information that we already processed. Payment method, let's say it was over the phone. It was an online internet lead. Okay. If they're there in front of you, you can click on this and print this out. Right. So, but if everything's in right here, it automatically pre-fills. This is the amount that's due today. So we'll go ahead and proceed to bind. All right, bind is now available. Let's go ahead and bind. Are you sure? Yeah, let's get this policy on the books. At this point in time, we'll say they don't want their race, national origin, or gender passed off to the Department of Insurance, so we'll say no. Then we click OK. And cha-ching, we get the screen of success. All right, so now that we got the auto in the books, let's move over to the home. Okay, so we can either click account number, which that's what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to go down here. We're going to start a new submission. We're going to now choose the home policy. All right, again, yeah, we're going to gather some information from third parties to put this together. All right. It's a homeowner's policy. There is this policy subtype. You can click on it. Typically, it's for course of construction with contents or without contents, right? If it is a townhome, the options for the home is homeowners, renters, or condo. If it is a townhome, go ahead and click homeowners. And then in the 360 value, you're going to say that it's an end unit or a middle unit, okay? And you can go from there. So we'll just say he just owns a regular home. I'm going to go to next. Everything should be pretty much the same. Number of additional adults. Make sure you answer this one. He's a single, right? Single, table for one. There he is. Okay. It's throwing in the life proposal. Okay, which is cool. We could put non-smoker. Throw in the discount. Okay. Everything's good here. If there's anyone else, we can add them down here. Any third parties, we can add them down here. But that's fine. We'll just roll with that. Let's click next. Okay, so remember this next screen under the dwelling, there's these three tabs. We need to be thorough with it when we go to these three tabs. First one's the details right here. We'll start with, yes, there's a hydrant within 1,000 feet. Nearest fire station, we'll go with the Contra Costa County. We'll take the top one. I'm not sure, but I'll take the top one if I don't know. If it does bump it saying it's a high fire line, then I'll click refresh, update the quote, and then maybe change it to the next one. Let's go ahead and create the valuation. All right. I'm going to pull this up. There we go. I just click and drag, by the way. So if you do have some issues, just click and drag. All right. I'm going to go ahead and edit this. It's got them as above average, built in 1978, 2,300 square foot. Quality grade is above average. Remember that if you pop into the 360 value and it's like blank, you want to put in the year built, the square footage. You'll typically pick a quality grade. And once you pick, usually the year built, the square footage, it should then pre-populate all the details associated with construction for that home in that area during that time. If you don't see it when you put in the year built in square footage, then click on the quality grade and then it will pre-fill. Right? If you do want to look at the house, you can click on this teardrop over here. This is kind of the location thing. Slides over the screen. It's going to give you a view of the house. Okay, so the first should be the view of the house. The aerial one, the second screen, should give you the top view. The reason I want you to take a look at this because you want to see if there's another structure, maybe a pool in the backyard to help you answer the question. And then, of course, the third screen just shows you the map and the general location in which it's at. And this is pretty much in a residential community, which is fine. If it's up in the hillside, then we might have to look at the fair plan endorsement. All right, but we're looking good over here. So I'm going to go ahead and slide that over. I'm going to go ahead and click continue. At the top, this is a single-family detached home. Remember, if it is a townhome, you want to click on this, and you want to put that it's either an attached end unit or an attached interior unit. It might be a duplex, or I'm seeing in certain areas they have something called a duet, and so that would fall under the duplex category. Homeowners, you can write 1 to 2 units, so up to a duplex. Anything larger than 2 units, you're going to move over to a landlord policy or maybe even a dwelling policy form. But we're going to stick with the single family detached here. It is a 1-story. It's a concrete slab. This one happens to have a crawl space. Okay, so this is where the plumbing electrical is probably run underneath the house. Unfortunately, critters get under there also. If it's a concrete slab, your electrical and plumbing is typically run through the roof, through the attic space, okay? But again, typically if there's a crawl space, then it's run underneath the house. It is a traditional stucco, okay? Let me scroll down here. Always double check the roof. This one's composition, all right? If it is not, maybe they re-roof and now they have architectural shingle, then great, make the adjustment. In this case, it's saying half architectural shingle, half looks like clay tile, okay? We can go back, we can look at the picture to confirm it if need be, okay? It says there's no garage. Oops. Let's scroll down here, okay? Fireplace, kitchen, bathroom, all right? How many bathrooms they have? We can go ahead and enter more details. Okay. Gables, a roof, it's a square that comes up to a triangle. I'm probably going a little bit more than I should, just throw some additional information out here. Any special windows, maybe a greenhouse window, atrium window, you can take that in consideration when you put this together. So at this point in time, we're going to go ahead and calculate. Okay. One of the things I like to do, just because I'm just me, I look at the reconstruction cost is 430,000, and I divide it by the square feet of the house. Okay. So 43 divided by 1706. It's giving me about $250 per square foot, which is actually not bad. Okay. If they say it's a little low, I'd probably go in and change the quality grade to the next one up. If they think it's a little too high, then you could change the quality grade down to the next one below. Okay. And that's one of the quick ways to kind of bump up coverage for reconstruction costs or lower it if it's too high. All right. So now we're going to go down here and answer these questions at the bottom. We did not see a pool in the backyard, so I'll put no. All right. Don't see any major renovations down here. I'll put no. Okay. And one of the things I did forget to do is click finish. So let me finish on my 360 value here. All right. Home protection devices, if they do have any, we can put it. I'm going to go automatic gas shutoff valve. I'm going to go with a central fire and a local burglar. All right. If it is in a gated community, then yeah, you can put that it is a gated or it's a community. If they need a code to get in, if there is a gate, then you might want to put a note here. In this case, it's none. If it's gated community, they need to call someone, then you can put the number here. Please call. Any hazards in the area getting to it, whatever. Just put some notes for the inspector. So CIS inspectors know. All right. All right. So now that we've completed that, we're going to go back towards the top. All right, and then we're going to click on eligibility. Remember, we got to go through the 3 tabs. We'll go to the eligibility. We're going to answer the questions. Separate structures are properly maintained. Yes. There is no pool. There is no trampoline. They don't have a home business at this point in time. They said they don't have any dogs. Right? It's not undergoing any extensive interior-exterior renovation. It hasn't been converted from a church or school commercial building to use as a home. The roof is well maintained. Vegetation is well maintained. To the best of my knowledge, it's free of any water damage. It is not located over water. At this point in time, there are no 2 unrelated rumors or borders in the home. And it's not a mobile home or manufactured home. Give you a heads up, if the house was built, I believe it's before 1978, it's a mobile home. If it was built after 1978, then it's a manufactured home. That's the primary difference between these. All right. If there is an additional interest, we can add it in. Let's go ahead and put that this is a mortgagee on the house. They're the first mortgagee. I'm going to put the 1, 2, 3, 4 in this particular case, but you can search it from the master list. All right, and there they are, Guild Mortgage. Click select. Put in the loan number, whatever it may be. All right, so that's fine. So I already went through details, went through eligibility, put in the additional interest. Now I'm going to go ahead and click next. Oh, who pays? See, I like this. It lets me know. Hey, so I'll put the mortgagee is going to pay it. Okay, and then we'll go next. And as you notice, the errors were at the top of the page. Typically, if the error is at the top of the page, it's a mistake you made on that particular screen. If the error pops up at the bottom of the page, there should be a hyperlink, and it should take you to the page where you need to go in and make the change. Okay. Here's remember, you put any contingencies, any documents want to unload, maybe some affinity discounts or what have you. But at this point in time, we'll go ahead and quote it. Taking its time here. There we go. All right, so now it's saying validate, but let's make some adjustments first. All right. And so right now it's giving me the green check mark. This is the one we're working on. The next gen is a little pricier. I can do both. I can select both, but what's really cool is I get to edit all, and I can do all these edits at one time. All right, it's going to confirm. Then it's going to open up these drop downs. I like higher deductibles. All right, you take care of the little stuff. You leave us the big stuff. All right. This one has a separate water deductible, and we can go with a higher water deductible. Let's go 5,000. They do have prior water loss. They're not going to be eligible for the next gen. Okay, there's the reconstruction cost. It's the same on all of them. Right? In this middle one, they didn't have any other structures in the backyard, so I can actually drop down the limit on separate structures, as you can see over here, to 5%. Right? Over here, it's pretty much a set 10%. You can bump it up additional amount because it's usually 10% of the reconstruction cost, so it's going to be about $33,000. Right? If you want more than that, because maybe they do have a shed, they have a pool, we can bump that up. Right? Personal property, we've got it at 55%. Our next gen is 75%, so it's very liberal as far as coverages. Of course, it's a higher premium typically. Not all cases. You'd be surprised. Once in a while, that next generation policy comes up with a cheaper rate than the modified, the enhanced. So I would definitely push that one. Okay. Let's go ahead and move down here. Loss of use is 20%. Our next gen is 40% or up to 2 years. Right? As you can see, 24 months versus the enhanced is 12 months. Personal liability, 300,000 is good. Okay. You notice I'm avoiding this particular program over here because I really don't want you selling this one. This program is so scaled back to standard. You kind of want your clients to sign off. They want the cheapest skeletal policy on their home. They really don't care if something happens. They just have to have something in place. But have them sign off. Okay. Roof is replacement cost. Go down to other coverages. If there is a homeowners association, you can increase the loss assessment. Right? If they are a landlord, they're renting out a room, you definitely want to add personal injury. We have identity shield. I always want to recommend pitching out sewer and drain coverage. As far as contents, we want to go extended because we want replacement cost. And let's go ahead and bump it up to 25,000. Okay. Yeah, we're going to see some issues, is what people are saying. Experts are saying, yeah, we're going to have some issues this winter. The optional coverages, this is a general increase in these items. Okay. Residence glass kind of waives your deductible. You can consider that if they run a daycare. That's the child care liability, typically up to 6 kids. Unscheduled means we do not need appraisals. So again, this is a general increase on items. Here's your equipment breakdown. So it covers breakdown of a system, utility system versus service line. We might dig up the yard to replace plumbing or electrical that's run underground, okay, from the foundation to the street. So remember, these are general increases. When we go into detailed coverage, when I click on that, go down here, this is more of a specific coverage. And so if you click a jewelry floater, then you need to list the appraisal and the value of it. Okay, what it is, it's a ring, it's a 2-carat ring, 4-carat ring, whatever it may be, with a copy. You want to upload a copy of appraisal. So that's going to lead you over to the contingency side. But again, offer it. They may want it. They have some, expensive items they want to be protected in case something happens. So don't be afraid of the increase in premium. Our job is to educate and offer. Okay, their job is to choose whether or not they want it. Okay, so but if they do say, hey, I've got a hobby, I do photography, great. Let's take a look at your cameras. What's the value of it? We might want to get a camera floater. Okay, and they collect some fine arts. Great. Do you have some appraisals? Oh yeah, we got one appraisal, and they talk about it because you asked about it, and people are proud of what they have, and they don't mind talking about it when you ask. Get a little more insight and say, hey, we can cover that. I do need to copy their recent appraisal. I think we can go back as far as up to 3 years old. Preferred, you want a more current appraisal, by the way. Okay. And here's some other add-ons you can review. We will have some upcoming training where we actually will go through a lot of this with a little more detail. Okay. Exclusions and conditions. I believe this is where the FAIR plan. You might say you can't write it here. It's a FAIR plan type of policy, but at this point in time, we don't have any of that. All right. So we're going to go ahead and quote based on the changes we made. I'm not going to care much about the numbers in the sandbox because it's just kind of made up right now. These are not real numbers, not indicative to what's really going on. All right, so it pops out, shows you the premium adjustments, and then we can go ahead and validate, check any losses on the property, or maybe some carried over by the owner. Okay, bind is now available. If you want to print packages, you can do that. I'm not sure if it's going to pop up here. Okay, we should be able to just print like a 2-page front and back. Okay, yeah, it's not pulling up right now, but this is the 2-page front and back for the home. Otherwise, you're going to go over here to the value insurance package where you can print the full proposal. This is about, 9-11 pages. For homes, I love this little 2-page front and back, real Reader's Digest condensed version of the coverages with the deductibles that you've chosen, right? The side-by-side with the modified and the next gen. Okay. If you want a little more detail, great. We got the VIP, and this is where we can package up the auto, the home, the umbrella, and the life proposal all in one. And so we will have some ongoing training to kind of show you how to best work with this. Make sure you do it right. Okay. But we'll go ahead and bind right now. Are you sure you want to bind? Yeah. Let's get this done. Again, it's going to, since we already wrote them, it's going to automatically default to no. They don't want their information passed over. So we'll just click OK. And there's our screen of success. So now we have the auto. Now we have the home. So now we're going to go run to the umbrella. I'm going to go ahead and click the account number again. Bring me to the home page. All right. I'm going to go start new submission. All right. We're going to go to the personal umbrella. And again, we're going to gather some information. Say yes. Let's go to next. All right. Everything should be the same. No one else got added to the household. All right. We'll go next. All right. So now we got the umbrella. We're doing $1 million. All right. This is the address. And then what we're going to do is we're going to retrieve account quotes. So we do have some underlying policies. And this is where we want to go and pull them into this umbrella because it is going to validate and check, make sure they have adequate limits in these underlying policies. I'll click OK. All right, so now that we pull them in, okay, I'm going to go ahead and click, whoops, I'll back it up. This is the 2 tabs. All right, so we got the details here. I'm going to go into eligibility. I confirm this risk meets eligibility guidelines. Yes, to the best of my knowledge. There's some additional questions you can roll through. All right, a prominent figure. Having had a judgment entered against them for libel or slander. Any of the vehicles owned, any vehicle owned by you, including motor vehicles or watercraft owned or operated for or used in connection with official races or speed contests? No. Because if it's yes, we're not going to cover it. Does any member of the household regularly furnish an automobile to others who do not reside in the home other than dependent college students? In this case, no. Does any household member have use of a company car? Yes or no? If it is yes, then great. We want to go to the auto policy and get the drive other car coverage because their personal auto policy will not cover them driving another car that's furnished for their regular use, such as a company car. And so we want to make sure they have the right coverages. In this case, we'll go ahead and say if that works out, we'll go next. Okay. We need to make any other changes over here. We can. Okay. Just going to validate here, non-driver reason. There's no non-driver. Right. I'm going to go ahead and click next. Right. If there's any contingencies, it's going to list it here. Right. In this case, we don't have any, which is awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and now go to quote. Okay. Click on validate. So now when I get to this screen, and this goes with the auto and the home policy, when I get to this particular screen, it's going to give me a dollar amount. And I would still say this is a proposal. I don't like calling this a quote because we haven't validated in case there's some losses in the past that get pulled in. So if you quote them at this number, right, this rate, hey, the quote's $319 a year, right, to get $1 million of liability over your auto and your home. And then when you go to validate and something pops up, it's going to push this number higher. And now they're like, hey, why did you quote me 319? And now you're saying it's 430. You see, I don't like confrontations. Like, well, this is a proposal. Let's go ahead and do the background and see where it leads us, right? So once you validate, okay, all right, so it's validating. Now this is, the number hasn't changed. So this is, now I can say this is the quote, okay, because we did pull the background reports, and this, it's still coming up with this figure. What's really cool also is now, okay, you can see down below here, if they wanted to go for higher limits, you can go down here. I'm just gonna, it's not scrolling right now, so I'm just gonna tab. And by tabbing, it'll basically push it downwards here. For some reason, it doesn't want me to go any farther than that. So, okay, but it's going to give you how much the umbrella costs for higher limits. Right? Right now, we're going for the 1 million. That's fine. We can make the change if we need to. Okay. In this case, let's go to the billing setup. So that's going to be over here. Set up the billing. Okay. So we should have, yeah, he's already in the system. So we're going to go ahead and click on his existing billing setup. All right. Yes. No changes will be allowed. All right. The billing account. Okay. But everything's here. We should be good. I'm going to click next. It's going to pre-populate everything in. Again, if we want to change a date, actually this is grayed out, so we're good. All right. We'll go with next. All right. We're going to go with Joe Client paying for it. It's going to go with that Bank of America account that we inputted. And we did it over the phone. Again, it was a lead. Right, worked with them. I'm going to go ahead. Everything's in. Okay. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and proceed to bind. All right, so bind is now available, so we can go bind. Now, let's say, I don't know if I want the umbrella. You can pause here. You don't have to move it over to bind to get it on the books. Okay. And so if you take off, you roll over to something else, click on the desktop, another call comes in, you take another call, and then you can come back to this later on. Okay. But you can at least get the, how much it's going to cost for the umbrella. Okay. As you can see, amount due today, 10,000. Woo! Whatever the number may be. But if they want it, then it's great. Let's go ahead and bind it. Okay. If they're shooting now, you know what? I don't want this right now. Okay. You can either leave it here, let it sit for a while, maybe have some ongoing conversation, explain, and encourage that they should get higher limits, especially if they're going to build a pool in the backyard or whatever it may be. Or if they, hey, look, that's just too much right now. Then great. You can withdraw the transaction. Okay. But I like account selling, so I'm going to put this thing on the books. Okay. And there's our screen of success. So now when I go into the account, right, or I should say, if I want to, I can actually go into the policy. And on any of these, I can go into the policy and I can go over here and look at forms. Okay. And it would have any forms that I would need in case I need to print something out. Okay. Maybe for auto insurance to get their ID cards. You can go over here, you can print them out and you can hand it to them, or since we set up everything for electronic everything, they should get emailed all the information. All right. So when you do sell the policy, remember to give them a follow-up email. Okay, an onboarding email. Hey, welcome to our agency. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me. You will be getting an email for you to log in and electronically sign your documents. You might also want to put in that if you need any type of affinity certifications, to please get them to you, or they can actually upload it themselves. But you definitely want to follow up so the discounts don't drop, the rate changes. In some case, the policy could be canceled. So we do not want a bad experience with the clients. You want them to be happy, have a good experience, have a smooth experience with everything going smoothly, getting the policy on the books. And yeah, I know it doesn't always happen that way, but we want to do the best that we can to have it happen. Okay, so with that, again, we still got a couple days. Practice as much as you can. If you do have any questions, got any hang-ups, do not hesitate to reach out to me. All right. Thank you for participating, listening to this webinar. Good luck in your practicing, and have a successful launch on Saturday with GuideWire.